Hi, I'm Vincent Rosillo, and I'm a partner in the law firm of Fine, Olin, and Anderman. We get a lot of questions from people regarding eligibility for workers' compensation benefits. One of the most commonly asked questions that we get is if I'm eligible for benefits if I have an accident off the workplace. Even though I'm working, I'm injured while I'm not actually at my workplace. So today, we're going to address that issue, and I'm here with Robert Seidner. He's an attorney who works primarily out of our Long Island office. Rob, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Vinny. I hope we can provide some clarity on this issue.
I'm sure we'll be able to shed some light on this. I think the law regarding off-the-premises accidents is very fact-specific, but generally, are these types of accidents covered under the law?
Yes, generally they are covered. Accidents that arise out of and in the course of employment, even if they occur away from the workplace, are covered. The key is there must be some nexus to the work.
You know, we could run through a million different scenarios, but can you name just a few?
Sure, there are many scenarios. One of the more common scenarios relates to people who are considered outside workers. Generally, commuting to and from work is not compensable. However, if you are considered an outside worker, that is where you have no fixed location where the work is to be performed, you are generally covered from the time you leave your home until the time you return home. However, if you must first report to an office or to a dispatch center, you would not be covered during your commute. An example of an outside worker who would be covered would be a telephone installer or a social worker that gets into a car accident while driving directly from their home to a customer or a client's home. They would be covered under the workers' compensation law.
You use the words outside worker, and I know the workers' compensation judge reviews the specific facts of each case to determine if someone is an outside worker, to see if they're eligible for these type of benefits. But do you have to be considered an outside worker to be covered?
No, even if you are an inside office worker, you may be covered for accidents which happen outside the office. An example of this would be a worker who was getting a cup of coffee on their way back from the post office after dropping off the company mail. When they were at the coffee shop, if they slipped and fell, that would be a covered condition, and that would be covered under the workers' compensation law, as that was not an unreasonable activity. The workers' compensation insurance company might deny the claim and allege that your actions in stopping at the coffee shop were a deviation from your employment. However, this, as I mentioned, was not an unreasonable activity and would be covered under the workers' compensation law as you were running an errand for your employer.
You know, another common scenario is where the employer sends the employee for a one-day training or to a different building, a different work location. Would those people be covered if they had an accident while going to that location or to that training session?
Yes, if someone was sent to a different work location for a day or so, their travel to and from that location would probably be covered. A lot depends on how long they are assigned to that different location. Travel to a different location for training would also be covered.
We also get calls from people regarding workers who are placed on standby or they're considered on call by their employer, and they're essentially home waiting to be notified from their job as to a different location to go to, or a different customer's house to go to, or a different client's office location to go to make a service call. Are those people covered from the moment they start traveling to those work locations, or are they not covered at all?
Yes, those workers would be covered as well. Once they receive notification from their job to leave their home and travel to a specific place, they would be covered traveling to that location.
We've spoken about people who are traveling for one-day training sessions. But let's say the training session takes multiple days, or they're forced to go on a business trip away from their home and they have to spend the night. What type of coverage can they expect, if any? For instance, let's say they get hurt while they slip and fall at the hotel lobby while checking in for an overnight conference. Would that be covered?
Yes, generally business trips are covered. People are generally covered for anything that happens while they are away on a business trip. Of course, there are exceptions and exclusions, but the coverage is pretty broad for a business trip. So, generally, an accident that occurs while you are away on a business trip would be covered.
Since this accident happened off of the premises, would it be wise for the injured worker to especially notify his doctor of the special circumstances, especially if this happened as a result of a car accident?
Yes, typically under a car accident, if you weren't working, the no-fault provider would be billed by the doctor. However, since these accidents are not obviously workers' compensation claims, the doctor may accidentally bill the no-fault carrier or the person's private health insurance carrier. So since this would be a work-related accident, it's important for the injured worker to make sure the doctor is aware that you were working at the time of your accident and that the doctor's office should be billing the workers' compensation carrier.
Most people are unaware that they have certain obligations to fulfill in order to pursue a workers' compensation claim. And one of them is giving notice to your employer. Would that still hold true in a case like this?
Yes, absolutely. The injured worker must give notice to their employer within 30 days of the accident. The notice can be either written or it can be oral. However, the sooner you can give notice to the employer, the better.
So giving notice to your employer is just one obligation that an injured worker has. They also have to file a claim. Who do they file the claim with, and how long do they have to file it?
So the injured worker must also file a form called a C3 with the Workers' Compensation Board. The worker has 2 years to file that form starting the claim, which is something that Feinolin and Andaman will do for that injured worker. There are so many nuances within the workers' compensation law, especially when the accident happens off of work premises. So it's best to contact us so we can evaluate your specific situation.
You know, Rob, I think you're right. It's important for injured workers to seek legal counsel for these type of accidents. We wouldn't want people not to file a claim because they believed that it was not compensable. So the consultation is free. There's never a fee for consulting with a lawyer. In fact, there's never a fee unless there's an award made at the Workers' Compensation Board. So someone should contact us, and we can be reached at 1-800-522-9001. And our website is www.foalaw.com. And I want to thank you today, Rob, for taking the time to discuss off-the-premises workplace accidents.
Vinny, thank you for having me.